what are the typical issues, the typical challenges the B2B companies face? From my experience and also from the experience of my colleagues from the team, that the typical challenges are the following. So you need to come up with the right prices for your products, reflecting the value of those products. How do you do that? Just ask yourself, which of those two clients will be more price sensitive and which one would be less price sensitive? Many companies and people in the companies ask me, okay, Wojciech, that's okay. You know, we have those challenges. We have those problems. But then give me the pill. Give me the silver bullet. How should I solve that? Is there any magic? Then over the years, I realized that actually there is some magic. The magic formula in the sense of recipe. And the recipe is the following. Good morning. Welcome. Beginning of the year, new challenges, new opportunities. And I'd like to share with you some of my experience in the area, which is the area of my passion, which is pricing. So what I'm going about today to talk about today is pricing, but special pricing for B2B companies. And as I said, January, beginning of the year, new challenges, new opportunities. Let's see what the new year will bring us. Okay, because this is my first podcast, I'm going to present myself first and talk about what I'm doing and what I'm who am I doing with. Myself, I'm Wojciech Gorzeń. I'm passionate about pricing. I've been doing pricing for 20 years, so I stopped counting after 15 years, and I'm still doing that because this is my passion, and I like doing that, and I dare to say I know how to do pricing, and I'm doing that with a colleague of mine, a very good colleague of mine, Maciej Kraus, and we are doing that together and also together with our team. And we are doing that under the brand of Movens Advisory. And you might find that there is more than one Movens. There is Movens Capital. Let's start with this one. This is venture capital house, but this is not what I'm going to talk about today. This is a typical venture capital house. So we are investing the money of our investors at a different area of our activity. But, with one comment, because when we invest the money of our investors, our goal is to make more money. And the same is with Movens Advisory. We help the companies, our clients, the companies we support, make more money. And how do we do that? Or maybe first, for whom and who did we support in the past. And you can see on this screen some examples of the companies, of the firms we supported. So you will see the big brands, the international global brands like BASF, P&G, Nestle, Coca-Cola's of the world. And you will also see some more local Polish companies, because I'm Polish, Maciej Polish, the majority of our team is Polish. So you will see also the Polish companies like Wedel, for example, or Żabka, or other companies. And as I mentioned, we have so much experience. I stopped counting my projects after 100. And together with my project, Maciej's project, the projects of our team, this is easily above 200. Okay, and myself, 20 years experience, Maciej, 20 years experience in pricing, rest of our team, some more years experience, easily above 50. But most important thing is how much money we help generate our clients, the companies we support. And this is when we calculated that 250 million euros, 1 billion zloty, if you like. So this is the range of the money we help companies generate or defend at times, okay? And then you might ask, you guys are Polish, so where did you do projects? We did projects myself. I did projects around the world. You see the map and some examples of the country I worked. So, starting from the left, this is the US, Canada, and North America. In South America, you will have Brazil, Argentina, most of the countries in Europe, and also in Asia, India, Australia, so pretty much the whole world, okay? And now, because this is, the first thing, first podcast, that's why I'm spending a bit more time to present myself, but then actually going into the topic and the topic of pricing. And the topic of pricing today is, how to make the pricing for the B2B companies in a way that this supports the company to make more money, support that today so that they don't have the pain tomorrow, okay? And let's start with this then. So what are the typical issues, the typical challenges the B2B companies face? And, from my experience and also from the experience of my colleagues from the team, that the typical challenges are the following. So, you might see them on the screen. The first one is lack of structure and or consistency in pricing. So pricing is done somewhere, but at times is 1 year the company is focusing on the volume, and the second year, because the volume is there but margin is not there, the second year they focus on margin. The margin is there, but the volume slows down or maybe goes down, and then again they go back to the volume focus. So this is what I call lack of structure and consistency. Sometimes it's like a pendulum. Okay. The second challenge is haphazard knowledge about where to look for price increases or where to look for price decreases. 2 years ago, it was maybe 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 3 years ago, where there was an inflation time. It was easier because the direction was clear. If to change prices, the change direction was go up. But in the more stable market, the question or the answer to that question is not that obvious. Sometimes it makes more sense to increase prices. Sometimes it makes more sense to decrease prices. But companies don't know where, for which products, for which customers, for which situations to increase prices and for which to decrease. Okay. The third one, the classic one, focus on volume and or revenue, market share rather than margin. So the companies, the managers, the executives, they would like to have margin, profit, but then if you look what they are focused on, this is again volume, revenue, and even the rankings of their salespeople are by volume or by revenue. Okay. The fourth one, limited understanding of willingness to pay at the end customer level. And what I mean by that, especially if you have the sales to direct clients, which might be the distributors, the wholesalers, and they sell to the end customers. At times, the companies don't understand what is happening at the end customer level, and they are at the mercy of the intermediaries. Okay, and at times the intermediaries become so strong, the distributors become so strong that simply dictate the conditions of the cooperation. And other thing is because the companies don't fully understand what is happening at the end customer level, at times, in order to improve their performance, especially if there is a strong CFO, they might take the arbitrary pricing decision driven by finance. So finance says, okay, if we increase prices by 5%, then it should be better. Yeah, maybe, potentially, and on paper it looks great, but then on the market, would the market accept that? Sometimes yes, sometimes not necessarily. And that leads me to the point number 6, which is commercial terms, but I call them reactive. Okay, and why reactive? Because at times companies say, okay, our clients want us to give them discounts and rebates, and because the competition has a scheme like this, we copy that or we make something similar. But just wait a minute. Is it something you would like to have? Is it something proactive? Is it something that you could maybe not control, but direct and support the customers to behave in a way which is good for you, or it's good just for your clients and customers? Okay, so all of that are the points that I'm going to elaborate a bit today and also in my next podcast. Then the point number 7, a lot of price exceptions. So because of the reactive commercial terms, and not only because of the pressure of the push of the customers, at times the salesman, key account manager comes and says, I would sell it, but just give me some more playground, give me the possibility to grant more discounts or rebates. And at times or many times, or very frequently in the companies, those additional discounts, rebates are granted. At times it makes sense, but many times it's just profit leakage. Okay, and 2 points, the 8 and 9, is very often there is, especially nowadays, there's a lot of data, and the companies produce various charts, graphs, and tables. But then actually they don't know how to use it, because this is produced because the data is there, rather than they think first what kind of analysis is needed to support a decision. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to make a decision, which means that, should I increase price, decrease price, and should I adjust the price for some segment, for some products, and they don't think about this way. And eventually weak pricing governance, meaning, if you ask who sets the prices, or where the prices are set and then adjusted or controlled or managed, and if you ask in the companies, at times they say, yeah, there is someone. Very rarely still, this is a pricing manager that has a overall coordination of the topic. At times this is in product management. At times is something, some analysis in finance, but many times no or not enough clarity here regarding governance. And because of that makes the situation, which I call, that profit, that leads to the profit leakages, and something which I call money left on the table, meaning too low prices, or money lost at the table, meaning maybe too high prices, and clients simply go away somewhere else and buy somewhere else. Okay, and this takes various forms, and in the middle, you see this bucket with leaking profit. Many times the case in the B2B companies, and the profit leakages take the form of either too low prices or unrealistic price increases, across the board the same, undifferentiated, I call them blanket price increases, unnecessary, on the other side of the spectrum, price decreases, incentives in terms of commercial terms wrongly distributed, so too much money spent on the small, not prospective clients, or not enough money spent, invested money, time, resources spent into the valuable prospective clients. And eventually, as mentioned, unjustified price exceptions. And if something like this happens, this is profit leakage, first thing, leads to usually unrealized financial goals. And if there is unrealized financial goals, frustration and tension appears. Okay, so how to address, or how to make the life easier and avoid frustration and tension. And actually, there is, as typically, 3 options. You have almost always 3 options. So one option would be do nothing. Okay. And, depending whether you are the executive or manager or maybe someone in another area of the business, and you don't have responsibility or remit to do something about pricing, that might be an option, to do nothing and wait or expect that the others responsible for that topic will make it happen. But if you have some responsibility about the P&L and profit, probably limited option, I would say, and then the profit, the money could continue leaking. The other option would be do something, And it's better than do nothing, but do something might mean, something which is short term, or maybe a little bit improving, but then leading to, as in this yo-yo effect, come back to the initial state, or to do it right. And especially if you have enough time, enough resources, and you think more like mid-term wise, long-term wise, this is the option I would look and focus, and this is the option I'm going to elaborate a bit more today and in the next podcast. And always you will have those three questions. The first one regarding the prices: what should be the price, my price of existing products today, meaning this year, this season, this period; tomorrow, meaning next year, next season, next period; and should that be the same or different between clients and or segments, okay? And you can rely on the intuition, and many companies even openly admit that there is so much experience in the company that they rely on the intuition of the people in the company. Okay, good. If you have good experienced people, that's okay. I don't have anything against the business intuition. It's good. But, on the other side, let's think about maybe some more structured, some more consistent, okay? And if so, what would that be? And here I'm coming to the actual point of my my podcast today, because many companies and people in the companies ask me, okay, Wojciech, that's okay. We have those challenges, we have those problems, but then give me the pill, give me the silver bullet. How should I solve that? Is there any magic? Give me the formula, and I will apply it and solve for good the problems in my company. And for many years I thought, wait a minute, I'm a very rational person. I think like in terms of finance, calculating things and making this happen in terms of bringing the money, the profit. And there is no magic. There is more like calculation, simulation, maybe math rather than magic. But then over the years I realized that actually there is some magic, and there is some magic formula. Less the formula in the mathematical sense, more the magic formula in the sense of recipe. And the recipe is the following. This is what I call 3D plus 2C plus BA. Okay? Sounds sophisticated, but actually is quite simple. And what does that mean? 3D plus 2C plus BA. So the first element of the formula, 3D, is about three-dimensional pricing logic. And for this one is 3D, three-dimensional. The second one is about 2C, meaning two key control mechanism. That's why 2 and that's why C. And eventually BA is I could have called that VA, value argumentation, and I'm calling that also benefit argumentation, because today, in order to sell, you need to persuade, to argument your customers, like it or not, so that they buy at you and not somewhere else, okay? And that's why 3D plus 2C plus BA. And you have that. That's actually the magic formula, the magic recipe to have more profit in your company. Okay, so let's go today a bit, bit by bit to kind of introduce you to the concept, and then in the next podcast I will elaborate more on each of those parts. So 3D. 3D, three-dimensional pricing logic. And why three-dimensional? Because actually you have a dimension of product, a dimension of customer, and a dimension of order. So first dimension is product. So you need to come up with the right prices for your products, reflecting the value of those products. How do you do that? you need to have a reference, and the reference might be the most standard product in the pack, in the segment, in the family of the products. And then you look at the other products in this subsegment or segment of the products, or family of the products, which might be different or differentiate from the reference product in terms of color, weight, performance, adds-on, things that produce the value or deliver the value to the final client. And when you have those attributes and you know what's the difference in those attributes in one product, in the second variation, and the third variation, and so on, you might even calculate what should be the price of the list of your product. And actually, the first dimension brings you to price level 1, which is nothing else but list price. Okay, which should reflect the value of the product. But that's just the beginning. The second element is the client dimension. And why I'm saying client dimension? Because you will have different clients, different specificity of the clients, and even for the very same product, those two clients might pay different price because, for example, different rebates and or discounts. Okay, and how the clients differ. They might differ because of the size, the volume they buy, the volume they purchase, the potential of the purchases, the location, the quality specification, the quality expectations, or logistic specifications or needs. So those elements might make the clients differ, and for that you might adjust the prices accordingly to arrive at price level 2, which reflects also the client specificity. Okay, and eventually even for the same product, the same client, but in different situation, you might charge different prices. Why? Because, for example, a client wants it now. Okay, usually it takes 2 days or 3 days to deliver, but he wants to have it now, like now, or now tomorrow, or today in the evening. And that might be very typical, speed delivery, which might be an element to differentiate price. The other element could be that they might have the expectation to pack differently, to wrap differently a certain delivery, so that it helps them with that. It might be also that for a specific order, they want a big delivery, a big batch, a big volume, and here you might also adjust the price, taking that into account. So this is the third dimension, and if you combine them together, that eventually brings the price which you should quote and charge for the product, client, and given order. Okay, and at times the companies or the people in the companies ask me, okay, Wojciech, but there is some product at times that are very commodity-like, and how can I differentiate between the products which are commodities? Then let's have a look. Illustrative example from the B2B industry. Something as simple as a box made from corrugated paper. Okay, and you might ask yourself, corrugated paper, this is commodity. But wait a minute. Corrugated paper might differ by grade, so thickness of the corrugated paper, might be plain, might be painted, might be different gluing applied, the surface might be different, the number of outs might be different, the cutting might be different, and so on. Okay, so here you can differentiate and adjust price accordingly for different variants of the products. Then the second dimension, the client dimension, let me give you an example. And using this corrugated paper, okay? Imagine a box of made of corrugated paper, and the box is used by, let's say, someone, a grower, which puts the apples in the box, or maybe even producer of the apple juice. That is put into the box made of corrugated paper. That's one client, and the other client would be producer of TV sets or advanced technical devices, and they also put their product in the box of corrugated paper. And just ask yourself, which of those two clients will be more price sensitive, and which one would be less price sensitive? And this is quite obvious that the grower or even the producer of the apple juice would be much more price sensitive than the producer of the TV sets, because the value of the TV set put into the box made of corrugated paper would be much higher, and the cost, the price of the box, would be a tiny fraction of the overall cost. So they will be simply less price sensitive. Okay, and eventually the other dimension, I guess this is clear. The most typical example would be speed delivery or different packaging or size of a given order. Okay, and now taking into account those three dimensions and this formula, that gives you the full control of what I call pricing waterfall. And look at this price waterfall. So, and actually here a point that if you do pricing on, that's what I do and how I suggest doing pricing from left to right. So starting from the reference pricing, and then considering the attributes of the product, so product value add, which brings us to the list price, and then also the client dimension, meaning the client specificities and other requirements, which translate into what I call trading price. So the price that should be applied for a given product to the given client in a given situation, order situation. Okay, but then reality is typically more complex than any system, any logic. At times, it's needed to adjust and give some discretionary trade terms, meaning discounts or rebates, so that this is sold if we in the company feel that it makes sense. And more about that probably in the next podcast. And that brings us to the net price. So you have full control from the left to right, from the reference price to the net price. And obviously, it's always good to have the right-hand side of the waterfall, meaning the cost, and check whether the profitability margin on a given product for a given customer in a given order makes sense, is good enough to sell this way. And as you can see, the D1, D2, D3, this is the pricing logic elements. C1, C2, those are the two control mechanisms, and eventually the benefit argumentation should be like across the price waterfall, stressing the value of the product, the client specificities, and also the attributes of the given order. Okay, and then let me also elaborate a bit about each of the elements and what are the main objectives. Regarding the 3D pricing logics, the product logic addresses three things. One, extracting the value and the willingness to pay for a given product. Allowing the very agile, very quick price adjustments, because if you change the price of reference products and you have the logic, you can recalculate the prices of all the other products linked to that reference price. Okay, and that also ensures the consistency in the way you're doing pricing, and that also addresses the element of the pricing governance. That's product logic. Then the client logic, two major elements, major objective. The first one would be to avoid cross-channel conflicts, and you have different channels. You have typically that would be brick and mortar channel and then e-commerce channel, and they at times if not harmonized, that might create a conflict. So how building the client logic and the discounts and rebates to address that, to eliminate or minimize the potential of cross-channel conflicts. And then the second one would be to incentivize your B2B partners to cooperate with you and to develop and grow the sales. So what is the incentive for them to cooperate with you, to keep cooperating with you, to stay loyal with you? Okay, so those are the objectives for the clients, client logic, and then eventually the other or VAS logic, VAS meaning value-added services, because that could be, as I mentioned, speed delivery, special packaging, and so on. The first one is to motivate the customers to even buy more, purchase more. The second one is to reward the behavior which is good for you. So meaning if they want to have the better price, then delivery might be a bit longer, for example. But if they want the speed delivery, they need to pay for that, and that's a surcharge. And that also protects, and point number 3, protects you from the giveaways. So typical giveaway would be the client comes and say, typically it's 2 days delivery, but this particular case, I want it tomorrow. Yes, of course, dear client. But if, most of your customers come to you and ask for speed delivery, would you deliver it to every one of them? If so, that might cost you, and then you better be prepared in this logic to address that properly. Okay, so that's the 3D elements. Then the 2C, 2 major control mechanisms. The first one is, as I mentioned, the 3D logic allows you to, or should allow you to address the majority of the cases, to make the prices good for majority of the cases, but always you will have some exceptional situation. Because if you wanted to address all possibilities in your logic, the logic would be very complex, very complicated, and not clear, not transparent, and eventually not used. So in order to prevent that, you make the logic relatively clear, transparent, simple as much as possible, and then those special cases you address in the what I call price exceptions management or price escalation system. What is it? Your sales manager sales person comes to you and say, I would sold this volume or this additional volume if I provide a good price to client or new client. And my dear boss grant me the possibility to add some more discount. And then if you don't have the process, you say maybe yes, maybe yes. Usually this is yes, and in majority cases there is additional discounts and rebates, at times heavy discounts and heavy rebates, and not all the cases are, to be honest with you, justified. So here is to have the process for that, which would reduce the margin leakage, and also, and that's very important, to shift the internal negotiation, so that rather than salesperson coming to you, coming to the boss and asking for additional rebate or discount, they would go to the client and negotiate with the client, defending the price they offer, so that the clients eventually buy without the reduction or with lower reduction of the price. Okay, and the second control mechanism, this is the monitoring of pricing effectiveness, but done in a special way, done in a what I call in the analytical way and actionable analytical way, so that justifying and helping make the pricing decision rather than producing graphs and charts and analysis because the data is there. And the analysis should be done in a way that helps you identify potential or real pricing, profit leakages, and also to identify which product, which client or product client segment or which type of order is affected by a certain phenomenon or certain pattern, which should allow you to act really quickly and precisely. Okay, and eventually benefit argumentation. This is to make the persuasion really effective and also effective pricing implementation. More about that in coming podcasts. So that's the overall picture. If you have the 3D 2C plus BA, you can control the whole pricing waterfall, and you can have full control of your pricing in your organization. So that was the introduction, to set up the scene for today. And next time I'm going to focus on the 3D logic and talk you and elaborate more how to design, how to produce a really good 3D pricing logic, which works and helps you produce more profit or defend the profit you already have. So, see you next time, and that's it for today. If you got inspired by this podcast, I advise you to get in contact with me, at least via LinkedIn. And should you have some, pending question, you might even call me or send me an email, and let's talk. And for today, thank you very much, and see you next time.